Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in for the long lost podcast and probably will remain that way until we decide to do it again of Concrete and Coffee. Today I am at the office, the luxury office of Ram Construction with my buddy Cam with Ram. Cam. So
you made it up to Canada again.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I cover Western Canada and for a very brief stint, Eastern Canada.
Really?
Yeah, out of
brief stint.
Yeah, like I did one trip out there.
Oh yeah, cool.
Circumstances.
Yeah.
And then we had
Sweet
guys that had passports that could go there.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So thanks again for having me. By the way, today's episode is brought to you in part by Tim Hortons.
Canada, eh?
America runs on Dunkin', but Canada
Dunkin' Donuts
runs on
my God.
Tim Hornitos.
What a time to be alive.
What a time. So I was just asking Cam here, and you seem like you didn't remember either. How did we get in touch?
So you asked me to ponder it about, 48 seconds ago. But in all honesty, it was one of those things where I'm always kind of looking at what's out there, what's new and exciting. You know what I mean? Like always kind of trying to push the envelope a bit. And I remember seeing something about like glue down and like gluing down reveals and I was like, this is interesting. And I feel like I waved it off a bit because of the climate in BC, Western Canada, the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah, not easy.
No, and then I think the TSN turning point was the caulking adhesive. And I think then it was the weather grip, and I was like, oh, well, this is something else.
Did you reach out? I feel like you reached out on LinkedIn.
I feel it was one of those, yeah.
And to my recollection,
well, you do remember you were just playing it before. Oh, here we go.
I remember tidbits.
Okay.
So you'd reached out. We had a glorious conversation for. Wow. I remember it being long. Yeah. I remember all the details.
Yeah.
But right away, you're very Canadian.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Yes.
And for me, and this is a good thing, the only other like Canadians I know is Len and Dave Overbeek.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's not a shout out to you guys, by the way, Dave and Len.
Toronto, Ontario.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember telling my wife, I just had this best conversation. This guy, he just called me up.
Yeah.
And I think it was LinkedIn. I
Must
think
have been.
That's where
Probably
the message started.
Yeah.
And then couldn't get up here to Canada.
Yeah.
Because I think you and I got in contact it was shortly before COVID.
It was right before COVID. Did I see you at World of Concrete? No, I didn't go to World of Concrete just before COVID.
Yeah, it wasn't. And I didn't.
No, so it was a while before
we were on the phone for like 2 years.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a long time before we actually met.
And then during COVID, is interesting. That's when I actually did make it up here.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
So that's right. That's a nice thing. I got the jab, as people called it, and made sure I had all my paperwork, and
you came on up.
Didn't stop me from working.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you guys were kind enough to let me hop in the truck with you, and
yeah, we bummed around and stuff, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's right. Then you went whale watching or something too, didn't you that time?
I did because
yeah,
because
I was like, Cliff, what do you got on the books this week? What are you doing? He's like, I'm like a whale watcher.
Yeah, because your thing got pushed. We were going to go, but you were like, yep. So Cam's job got pushed today, or our meeting. He had to deal with work stuff. And for those of you who've never been up to Vancouver, I like to stay in this little place called Stevenston. And it's just like
Stevenston, Richmond, yep.
Yeah, it's this little town. There's not anything going on, but like
it's pretty chill.
The early season, like spring,
I
love it there, man.
Oh, it's beautiful.
If you're totally landlocked like I am in Utah.
Yeah, you don't see much ocean, I guess, eh?
No. None.
Like lakes, that's about it.
I was up an hour before sunrise every morning. Yeah. And I was just out there on that little jetty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
It's heaven for a guy like me. Except for the mountains and then the desert. I also like those equally.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's all right. All right.
So
it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
You have been with Ram now for some odd years, and then another company or two, because I've met some of your other colleagues since you and I have been friends.
Oh, right on.
Give me your history of with Ram,
with
and then
Ram.
the precursor.
Yeah, I mean, been with Ram 5.5 years now. I mean, that story is a funny one. I wanted to play did you hear this story about the softball team?
Yeah, I think I did, but they haven't.
So the wife and I wanted to play on a softball team, and ended up emailing a bunch of leagues trying to find a team. Found a team. I got an email, and it was from like Jeff Knobloch, owner of Ram Construction, and I was currently working for Ram's direct competitor at the time, and I was like, "How is this gonna go? Oh my god!" And then ended up playing for him, and then I played. It was about 3 years before I came aboard to Ram. Did a little residential stint in between. But
as we all do,
spread the wings, kind of see what's going on, right? And then settled in here. It's a great company. It's a great time. Very family oriented, family run. It's a good show. So, recently took over director of construction about 2 years ago, year and a half ago now.
Yeah.
It's been a good. It's been a good show. So, and then before that, I mean, I started on the tools, apprentice carpenter back in the day. Got my carpentry ticket, site super for a bit. Was a senior site super for a while, and then just wanted to spread the wings there for a bit. Did some residential, and then came to Ram. So,
how long has Ram been doing the tilt up thing, to your recollection?
So Ram's been in the tilt up game. I mean, so they've been doing tilt up right from day one. That's how Jeff's dad Steve started the company.
How old is Ram?
30. Oh man. So I would say 37 years, I think, this year. Yeah, because we celebrated 35 a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So it'd be close to 37 or so.
We were not even born yet.
Yeah, I was knee high to a grasshopper. But Steve right out the gate. I mean, he was a carpenter. He loved doing tilt up panels. He was working for another company that was doing tilt, another competitor in the market. And he basically said, "Why am I doing this for somebody else? And I can do it for myself." So then kind of just started rock and rolling from there. And then Jeff's always been involved even from a very young age. I mean, he was a laborer for a bit. Project manager, he was an estimator, project coordinator. I mean, he's done a little bit of everything. And then finally took over from Steve. Steve officially retired. It's probably been about 8 years now.
Yeah.
So it's been good. We still have employee number one. So the first ever employee that was hired, is still here as one of my project managers.
Was that? Oh, really? It's still a project manager.
So he was hired as like a carpenter super lead hand kind of guy.
What I mean is, it's not like he's, I don't know. I guess is he still like a blend of site and office?
No, he's full office.
Okay.
He's full office PM. He's been he's maybe a senior PM now. He's been been a PM for quite a while, probably 10 years or something now, 15 years now. First ever employee ID 001. I mean, honestly, the amount of employees that have been here for 20 years, 15 years. I got supers. One of my supers, 33 years.
Good retention here.
Yeah, employee retention. I mean, it's a good place.
Yeah.
Right? It's good people.
That's always an interesting thing too, though, like, because you're talking about
the buzzwords,
employee
right?
one. Employee number one, still here, made the transition like to the office.
Yep.
And it's funny because there's been several companies, some are pretty old, and they I don't want to say they have employee one still working, but some of them that like have been with them for like 20. For example, I'm gonna use Leighton Construction. Yep. When I had worked with them, everyone had the year they've been with the company on their hard hat.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And then sometimes you come across some gentlemen that you're like, 28 years, man. All right. They're like, yep, best job of my life. And they're like, really? They're like, I hate this place. No, and they don't hate Leighton. They just like, they're ready to not be in the field. Yeah. Their knees are all shot.
Yeah.
And, we've all known. I mean, if you haven't been there, you at least know somebody. And but he never advanced enough in his personal end to make it to the office where he wasn't on those knees all the time finishing and stuff. So interesting how that goes.
The natural progression, for myself even. I mean, I was in the tools, apprentice carpenter, site super, in the office now. Just that internal promotion aspect, is something that's huge, to bring people up. And I always say, like, you can you can teach the office stuff, but you can't necessarily teach the field stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I always say if there's somebody that I want to become a PM, it's somebody that's got quite a bit of field knowledge.
Yeah.
Because you can't necessarily, go to school to learn that sometimes.
I would
it's the
agree
ins and outs of
heavily.
being out there, right? Like,
Yeah.
you gotta be in it with the guys and gals in the pouring rain and figuring out how things go together.
Well, it's interesting because you bring up a good point. I don't know, is there a lot of construction management programs up here?
There is a good amount of them. Yeah.
So I had been, and especially I want to say like 6 or 7 years ago, I saw an abundance of it, and it might still be how it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd go on sites and we'd meet PMs and stuff, and this isn't knocking them in that position.
Mm-hmm.
However, like a master's degree, like before you go like in any other field of study, you have to go have 2 years field experience before you can get
that's huge.
Like
that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or your PhD or something. And
yeah.
I'm like that. The same thing I feel should be applied
for sure.
Maybe not 2 years.
No, but something.
There should be a level, where it's like, hey, before we give you this or whatever, you got to do. And I know some companies have to say, hey, yeah, we're hiring you as, let's just say, a PM.
Yeah.
But we'll keep your pay pretty sweet, but you got to go do 6 months or 3 months.
Yeah.
Get out there with the guys. And most of the time I hear it's actually pretty like, you got to go do 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You
got to go visit the site once in a while and hang out with the site super.
Yeah. And it's like, and then they happen to be out there the 2 weeks when they're just doing like job cleanup and punch lists or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah.
But there's a lot of the PM style stuff, like the scheduling aspect, the cost aspect, like, all those PM related things all stem from boots on the ground items. Is there a cold snap? Can, the schedule get delayed 2 weeks? How does the dirt look? Is the granular material good or not good? What does the geotech say? Did it add a lot of stripping costs to the project from the civil side?
See, that right there on the civil, and you're beyond me on dirt.
But all that stuff, it severely impacts the project management stuff of the project, right?
Yeah.
And the PM knows, what he's looking at and what he's talking about. It's a huge asset. So. Yeah.
Undoubtedly on that.
For sure.
So on that note, then it's education, lessons learned.
Yeah.
A little bit of guidance.
A little bit of mentorship, Cliff.
A little bit. So damn proud right now. Cameron knows where I'm going to go with this one. Just because.
This is like a well-oiled machine right here.
It is. I would agree.
What a time.
So for those of you who don't know, Cam and I are both members of Tilt Up Industry Leaders of Tomorrow, known as Tilt. Show them that sweet sticker you got on there.
Where is it? It's right here.
That's our young professionals group that's hosted or supported by...
Do you think the TCA is going to comment on this?
Yeah. No, I'll have to let Mitch Bloomquist know.
Anyway, sorry.
We're part of this young professional group, and we're on like year 2 now of a mentorship program. 3 year.
Year 3.
Really?
I've been in it twice.
Yeah, I think it's 3rd or 4th session, 2nd year though. I think there's 6 month stints.
Oh, really?
Officially on paper, it goes as long as y'all want to carry it out.
Interesting. Okay.
But interesting thing. So give me your feedback, because your first one was with
Bob.
Who?
Bob
Murray?
Yeah.
I totally forgot that.
My guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what was your experience on the first one? And Bob's, I don't know him well, but I have friends that know him pretty good. And that guy is awesome.
Great guy. Spectacular. Learned a lot of the ins and outs of, the professional world and just, the higher level construction stuff. I mean, at that point in time in my career, I was, getting more and more into the office aspect of things, and I needed a bit more of that guidance on, that higher level, kind of how to, hold yourself and how to, tailor different conversations and stuff like that. And Bob's everywhere doing everything. And, he's always on the site, or he's, with clients or with his different offices that he manages. And so, it was the right guy right at the right time for sure on that front. Definitely.
Did you guys do it mostly through like phone calls and stuff? Because he's in Jersey.
Yeah. He was in his truck one time. He pulled over. He says, "I don't get good reception down in this stretch, so I'm just gonna pull over and we're gonna have a chat." And he was everywhere. Mostly phone calls. A lot of Teams things.
Yeah.
A lot of Teams things. And then we've met up. I think we met up at World of Concrete one year, and then a couple TCA things.
Nice.
Hung out in Denver.
Who was your second one, if you don't mind me asking?
Aaron.
Okay, so Aaron was your second one.
Yeah.
Frontline Concrete, a Litco company.
And that was cool getting to know him and just like the ins and outs of that was, switching gears to a site-specific, scope-specific kind of discussions with him on, concrete finishing and, how they do things and, how they organize stuff and that kind of stuff. So it was really cool. I mean, I think the mentorship thing is just a broad spectrum piece is really great.
Yeah.
Because you get different people from different, different scopes. And
what I like is,
cool.
And I think this comes from like any good teacher or mentor and stuff. It's not that, they know everything. It's, hey, the things I feel I know, I'll share with you. But let me share with you the things that I definitely screwed up on, so you don't repeat that.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed. So this current go around, I have Aaron as well.
Because he's a friend of yours too, isn't he?
Yeah. We've known each other for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
The last like 4 years, we've gotten to know each other more. And then, so this is my second year of mentorship. My first one was, I don't know if I can share his name on here, but he helped me work the angles and stuff and find out some of the skills I need to be in the director role with glue down.
Oh yeah, cool.
And then also guidance too, just on developing some of our like double chamfer and stuff like that. Just like, hey, maybe you want to take this route, or here's some things to consider, not on the design itself, but like manufacturing and things. Yep. And then, but with Aaron, it was cool because in this newer role with our company, there's so many more people now that we're a small company. And so small company, one personality carries a lot of weight in a small company. For sure. And already, my friend Scott and I have enough personality to fill an oil tanker. And
definitely.
So,
definitely.
Yeah, having that guidance on, hey, going from a smaller company to a bigger company and managing people has been super helpful for me.
And then even just the tilt group in general. I mean, I'm in a couple local organizations like the VRCA, Vancouver Construction Association. VRCA, Vancouver Regional Construction Association. And I call it, and there's a young construction leaders group there too.
Okay, I didn't. Yeah, no idea.
But it's one of those things where like it's almost just like a support group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's finding like-minded people in the same kind of with the same mindset that you do, helping each other out. And even like the round table stuff, right? Where they throw out questions where I got this crazy question, you know what I mean? And then everybody's just jumping in to help each other out. And
that's what I love about
just
it's weird because that's the young professional group, but it's also like a kind of a mindset, in my opinion, of the TCA, right? I always like to relate it that it's like Highlander, the movies. Yeah. And it's, it's one of those occasions where everyone gets together on holy ground and it's, your competitor is going to be there or partners in the industry, but there's no fighting there. No one can draw swords there. It's holy ground. Yeah. You're all there to collaborate. And what's really cool is on the young professional end. Yep. It's not just like collaboration on tilt up. But this is where I got to give a lot of like kudos to my friends in that group, Michael Frew, Cat Price, Darian, St. Michael. It become really great friends. I mean, just a handful of Mark over there in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, my fellow Canadian.
That's right.
Come on now.
I mean, Sean Harris. I mean, there's a whole bunch in this group now. Yeah. But
it's good. It's good.
So good.
It's cool.
It's good.
Cool. And like I said, it's like that like support group kind of safety net. And, you go to the TCA events, you go to the World of Concrete events, like it just feels like family. Like it feels like home. Like you see those guys, like I'll see Mark and be like, yes, like
yeah.
you
This
know,
year,
and
in
it's cool.
case it wasn't needed from glue down for me to go to World of Concrete, luckily it is. But in case it wasn't, yeah, I'd be going down there on my
For
own
sure.
to see
See
my
the crew,
buddies,
see the family,
the crew, yeah.
see the family.
Forget seeing the new products there. Glue Down doesn't have a booth, so I mean, why would you go?
Yeah.
So
Here we go.
you got to go there to see all the buddies.
For sure.
That's why.
No, it's cool.
That's why we roll as a posse, and we don't have a booth. We just get to go hang out with everybody.
Do you really not have a booth this year?
We've never had a booth.
You've never had a booth at World of Concrete?
Never had a booth.
But you had a booth at the TCA in Denver last year.
Oh, we've had a booth at the TCA.
Yeah,
I think the bosses told me for like the last.
Yeah, okay. Do you have a booth at the Precast show coming up?
No.
Oh.
However, next year we will. I am going. Are you going?
I'm going.
You are?
Yeah. I've wanted to go for a while. And
me too. I've never gone.
Well,
this is exciting. I'm going to have to throw this on there before the Precast show. Yeah, I'm excited then now. I only have a buddy to go kick it with.
Yeah, no, I've never been, and
and Denver's a good stomping ground for me, man. So
yeah, no, it's a good spot. We're doing a little bit more precast stuff most recently. And it's something that I want to look at collaborating with precast and on-site tilt.
Yeah, and
doing like some pieces that potentially are interesting or kind of, ergonomically a little bit strange out of precast, and then, fit in with like a shell box kind of thing of the on-site tilt stuff.
That's a great one.
Yeah. And then just even doing some different projects that, we just finished one. It was like a washroom, change room facility for like a sports field.
Okay.
And we did it all in precast. And even like the bathroom dividers and like the shower dividers and stuff.
All precast?
They were all precast pieces. And it was something we're like, just throw up a block building. And we're like, no, man, let's do something cool. And we did it all precast. Put like figurines. I'll just show you pictures of it later. I just got pictures of it. It was spectacular.
So if you get some of those, we'll throw them up here while Cam's talking about it and everything.
Pretty neat.
That is
pretty neat stuff.
Yeah.
But I wanna see some more of kind of what they do and
I'm with you because
innovation stuff.
Especially in your guys' position too, it can't be an expert on just one. Be an expert on a handful of them, but you got to be decently knowledgeable about a broad spectrum. Because like things shift. And adaptability is key
for sure.
Whether you're a framer or concrete guy or your guys setting tile even different types of tiles come into play and.
No, we had our pre-construction team actually came in my office the other day, and there's a job where they don't want to demo the building, but they have to basically rip it apart to kind of change around the layout of it. And there's this one section they have to put something in. And I was like, why don't we just drop some precast panels down there? And you can put 2 precast panels, picks up the load of the roof, picks up the load of the mezzanine. You can have all your seismic shear go to it. That's so cool.
Your guys' seismic stuff here is
disastrous.
I don't want to say it's disastrous. It's just like I'm not an engineer.
I mean, where else do you pour like a pad footing with like 6 foot long Dewey dag, 2 1/4 inch Dewey dag bolts? It's got like 350 cubic meters of concrete in this footing.
Yeah, And I'm like, and our buddy Dylan, I always say like, there's gotta be. He's like, well, then you show me, and I'm like, I'm not an engineer, But
we've gone, I mean, for what it's worth, we had one project where we couldn't put in deep pads for seismic stuff, and so we ended up actually going to a raft slab. So we went to like a 12-inch thick raft slab over the entire, like 190,000 square feet.
Is this the one you took me to last year?
No, we're just getting fired up on it. It's just on the street.
Okay.
But it's like a 12-inch thick raft slab. So rather than, we had to, we kind of be innovative with it and figure out how to get away from those big deep pads. But in general, the seismic code up here is changing. I think it just changed or it's coming
like
soon.
More stringent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because like down in the States, it's I can't speak to the East Coast too much, but like California and stuff usually is like the first one to, I don't want to say set the trend, but to start incorporating and pushing
more and more
those things. And I remember just like when I saw like how they do they just put they just do a ton of candy bar on everything. From their slab to their footing, where they link them in together and then throw a bar down the middle to link the two. And but like what you guys have here is different. Like, for example, like there was one you walked me on when we first met there, where the panel connection is to the slab, but then you have the embeds right there on the slab, and it's just like
inch and a half.
Yeah, that's it.
Inch and a half filler bar, and they just put a 1/4 inch fillet or a 3/16 fillet weld.
Yeah, that's the thing and it's just right there on the slab too. Yeah. It's like that's the part where it ultimately doesn't matter, but I think from like a maintenance standpoint, and I'm just like, that's gotta pop.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking at trying to do new things and try and change things out, and that's one of the things that we've been looking at more recently is just those like the little pockets. Because you got to grout it in after, and then you grout it in, and it just, it never looks great, right? So, but I mean, in high seismic areas, there's some panels. You talk to the engineer about the design, right? And like sometimes you'll have like 2 panels where like the entire forces are all like transferring to these 2 panels, and so then the rest of the panels are pretty chill, just embedded connections, not a big deal. But then like there's 2 panels that are like 2 feet thick, and the foundation wall they sit on is like 2.5 feet thick, and there's like massive finger plates, they go together. Like it's crazy, right?
It is,
and it's it's all how you transfer those forces down. And I think working with the engineers though, like the one on the road, like trying to figure out how to get past not digging a 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot deep hole and filling it up with concrete. What else can we do?
You mentioned the cyber roundtable earlier, and I think that's like an area But I'm going to throw a link to the cyber roundtable. Yeah. By the way, like somewhere in the description of this video and stuff, or in the post, because I think it needs to grow more. In fact, we talked about other things that it can grow into for like the field guys, not just the engineering end, but it's like different challenges in the field.
Yeah, even just guys on site. How does this work? Anybody run into this before?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Darian St. Michael brought it up a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm with you because I assume there's more support for engineers to relay information with each other. Yep. But field guys, from one field guy to, unless a guy working at the other company,
it's
and you're on likely they're not on LinkedIn reaching out. Some of them are. But yeah, it's something on the cyber roundtable. Do you want? I would love to see out there because I totally forgot about it until I drove by the Ocean Spray.
I built that.
That building looked fine. The several more
circles. The circles.
Yeah, and those ones. Yeah, go ahead and explain the circles, you guys.
I mean, I don't think it's. The cat's got my tongue because I don't know how to say this properly. There are some theories out there. How about that for the circles?
Well, let's describe what they are first. What they look like.
What they look like. So the circles are the bolster chairs that are clipped into a circle formation that the mesh in the skin of the tilt panel sits on when you pour the skin concrete and put the foam in. There's some different theories behind it. There's a local.
Is it on insulated ones only that you're noticing?
Only insulated ones, because the other ones we don't use bolster chairs. We use like either a star chair for the low mat or like a high arch chair for the top mats. So we're only seeing it on the insulated ones. There's a large developer contractor in town, who has been noticing this on a lot of their projects. Yeah. And they've started to do a bunch of test panels, order their own bolster chairs from.
And those are those plastic chairs or metal chairs?
Plastic chairs.
Gosh, that's weird.
Yeah, plastic chairs. So I was actually on a project, one of the first, and I mean honestly one of the first ever insulated tilts in town, and they had the bolster chairs, and we put them all in a row. Mm-hmm. Every like 6 feet. It just looked
like stitching in the building.
So we went to lift it, and it was like a zip strip. Every 6 feet, the panel cracked, and it was they ended up like stuccoing the entire building. Yeah. For envelope. Yeah, but so this one isn't so much cracking, but it's the shadowing.
Yeah, it's similar like when you see rebar kind of on some panels. Like some of them you'll see rebar just like
the shadow of it through. Yeah. So there, I mean, like I said, there are some theories behind it.
It just makes the building like look like it has like a illness or something. Like, I hope that's not contagious. Are the other buildings gonna get that?
Exactly, right? So we tell people that it's structurally it's not an issue. Right. There's no major cracking to it. that kind of thing. We tell them property maintenance is a big one. So, you should be repainting your building, on that 10-year mark, 8-year mark kind of thing. The theories behind it, I mean, we closely work with a rebar contractor, and since utilizing this rebar contractor, none of the projects that rebar contractor has installed on Forez have had the circles on it.
Oh, really?
And I have researched where they buy their bolster chairs from, and the plastic composition of the bolster chairs, and the quality of the plastic composition of different bolster chairs, and where they're purchased from, and that kind of thing. So that's the main theory behind it currently. So
when I was riding around with our buddy Tony, I don't think you know him, but it's like Leonard's counterpart.
Oh man, I'm gonna butcher his name on this.
I know, me too.
Adlin Chuckler.
I want to say Alzheimer or whatever, but it's not it.
It's like Adlin Chuckner or something. Little Tony.
Yeah.
Little Ford Ranger Tony.
And
Ford Ranger Tony.
We were like going to Ford Ranger Tony.
Yeah, he's got a little Ford Ranger he drives around in.
I was in F-150 with him, but
he upgraded.
It was
my God, Brock White.
Yeah.
White cap.
Yeah.
It's not white cap dollars.
So yeah, he's the one that first took me around. He's like, "Hey, you want to see something weird? We'll make a detour here." And he's like, "Check out this building." So I was just like,
"Oh,
what is that?" So that was interesting getting to see that.
It's tough for us as a GC. So nothing against just the formwork guys, but I mean, they go in, they do their work, they leave, whatever, not a big deal, right? For me as a GC, we have client relations, we have a business development team that, follows up with people and things like that. And, it's a big one to start having to come around on a few jobs that we did before we started using the rebar company that we use now. Talk them through it and paint it and that kind of thing. So it does suck though. It doesn't look good.
It does.
So honestly, I'm a big industry guy.
Yeah.
And so even on projects that aren't mine, if it's a really nice looking tilt-up building and it has these or even the lines, there's one in Campbell Heights.
Yeah, it's whether it's good for the industry or not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not good for the industry.
It
just looks. Yeah, it's there's another tilt-up building with all the circles on it. And, you know what I mean? So
one thing that is different.
Yeah.
That is I've only seen up here. Oh, excuse me. Is the way you guys do your railing during construction at the top of the buildings. And I have not seen that anywhere else
yet. Safety rail.
The safety rail. And I'm going to take a picture, if I can here, and share it.
I'll show you. It's in my yard.
Yeah. I want to have it on the building.
There's a company out now called Safety Rail.
Yeah.
And they are doing the safety rail.
I don't think it's
the tops of the buildings.
I think for certain projects that are more I don't want to say blow and go. But I think for just a standard warehouse and stuff, or to keep costs low and stuff, I thought that was a super cool idea. I don't know what the safety standards are, or not standards, but what the regulation is.
Yeah. So the cool thing about it, and I mean, there's two different types in town. There's Safety Rail, and then there's another brand that's been around for years.
And it's all for that same.
All for the same
cane shape thing.
Yeah, so they put an insert.
That was one dude. I thought he had a patent on that and stuff.
His patent ran out a few years ago, and then there's a second company that's just come along to start doing it.
Okay.
So there's an insert in the panel, and then there's a bracket piece that goes inside the insert, and then the candy cane goes up, and then there's two little loops, and the cable gets put around it. The interesting thing about it is that it's fall restraint and fall arrest.
Okay.
And so it acts as a guardrail.
Yeah.
Right? But then you can also utilize it to tie off to. So a lot of the structural steel guys and the decking guys love it because they can actually clip a harness to it.
Yeah.
And it can be utilized as fall arrest as well.
Yeah.
They can walk the top plate. Back in the day, there was a structural steel inspector in town, and he used to love walking the joists and walking the top plate. And so, he'd have his harness and he'd be able to click off before the deck went down, right? So,
yeah.
And then the roofers, you have a big warehouse space. You could have 20, 25 roofers up there.
Yeah.
Blowing on insulation, poly, rubber, rock. They run around the little dirt bike buggy things, jumping the rock down, right? So,
you guys still do gravel roofs?
Oh yeah, ballasted EPDM, 10 pounds a square foot. Send it. We're seeing a little bit more TPO now.
Okay.
Fully adhered. Seeing a little more fully adhered TPO.
You want to know? I'm gonna assume that has to do with your guys' high level of humidity and stuff up here. How maybe it keeps mildew down or something.
Must be an energy model for sure. But I mean, it's practical and it works, so why change it? But for those guys, like I don't know, those guys up on the roof, like they're all safe. There's guardrail, stuff for life, right?
Yeah,
so,
and I just think it's cool. You get all the stuff in there without any additional penetrations or anything like that.
They can do everything on the roof without tying off.
Yeah,
all the way from the flashings. Like they can do all the roof flashings because the insert is down on the face of the panel by 18 inches.
Yeah.
So they can do all the roof cap flashing. They can do all the detailing in the corners. All the RTU placements, gas line running, anything like that. It's all safe. So
yeah, I think that's a really unique one that you just don't get to see.
Well, it's funny because it's like commonplace around here. And then I remember my first time like interacting with someone not from Vancouver in the tilt-up market, like in the States. And, talking about some things like this, and they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, you guys don't do this? Like, huh? How does this work, right? So it is funny, but it's commonplace here.
Yeah, so. And that's what, I mean, you went, never mind, I'm not going to talk about what I see most common down there. It's varied, and I could be...
control zones. Yeah, control zones or, homemade guardrails and stuff like that, right?
Well, I think, having it set back so many feet from the edge, I see typical, but while they're getting stuff installed, I'm trying to think, I'm drawing blanks on what.
Well, the biggest one was tying off like 10 roofers on the edge of a building that are like rolling out all the rubber and detailing the parapet, vertical parapet face, and you know what I mean? Or the cap flashing, like, what do you tie off to? Like what's on the roof to tie off to? What can you anchor to?
Yeah.
Like WCB standards up here, work safe. Like, you have to anchor to a.
And when you have it around the whole perimeter. Yeah.
Yeah, you're golden, right?
Such a good idea.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, I'm going to take pictures of that and post them on here so people can see that.
Definitely. Yeah.
We're just throwing it out there.
There you go.
By the way, this is like, there's like no pre-written questions or nothing here.
Nothing.
So just so you guys know.
This is just a typical Clifford guy. I forgot the phone was on for a minute there. We were just
but you got this guy right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My God, double angle. I did both sides of my hair, too, so we're good.
So just so you guys all know again, too, is this is pretty much the first in-person concrete and coffee.
Forgot to bring that out.
Well, it's a golden moment.
It's a golden moment. Yeah. There's no little you up in the corner and like
where my camera doesn't work half the time. It's just a frozen picture. Hopefully we don't have that.
Your background looked good with the fake brick and stuff, and it was cool.
Everyone says like, "Oh man, that's like, is that like in your house?" And I'm like, and I'll tap on the back and I'm like, "It's just a curtain."
Yeah.
And they're like, "It's just a curtain." I'm like, "It's just a curtain." I just roll it up, and then you get to see like all my like wood paneling in my office. Yeah. And it's not cool. Yeah, like there's a closet behind me. Like you see all my company shirts just dangling all weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't work in a cool warehouse. It's Cliff's basement.
Yeah. So glue down, you guys are doing a little bit more of the like reveal strips and things like that. Like you started doing glue and now you're doing a little bit more of those kind of things. You want to I'm going to turn this around on you because it's not Cliff's podcast and Cam. Like it's a joint effort. But I mean, when we first met, you were dabbling into the reveal aspect, and now you guys are fairly strong leader.
Dialed it in.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. So when I came on board with Glue Down in 2019, it was already kind of a thought that they had prior. They'd been thinking about it, and then like my first month there, had been in contact with a few people saying, "Yeah, let's do reveal." And it took like 2 years to kind of get that up and going.
Yeah.
You put out something, you make adjustments, and then and refine it. And because our big challenge was, which we got experience up here, was a lot of people were like, "Oh, glue don't work," and that's what we still hear sometimes, just like, "Oh, glue don't work." Well, why doesn't it work?
Mm-hmm.
Aside from bond breaker, which does exactly what it says in the name, breaks a bond, right? Yeah. Is a large majority of people had the sense and feeling of, okay, well, how hard can it be? You put it on your wood reveal, and if it didn't stay stuck, it was the glue's fault.
Yeah.
When really, I'm like, no, the glue stayed stuck to every bit of bond breaker it's touching.
Yeah.
It's not the concrete, and it's staying stuck to every bit of wood.
Yeah.
That wood's just curling
and
soaking up moisture and then shrinking a bunch. And that's when we came out with the Weather Grip.
Yeah.
And now we have Weather Grip Max. for other areas. Yeah. Me personally, I like the regular weather grip, the original.
Okay. The OG.
Yeah. It's tried and true in my region and stuff. And, you know,
I remember when you came up and did a test. Remember that one test at that site in Pitt Meadows? You did a little seminar thing?
Yep.
Yeah, and you dumped the water.
Brian.
Yeah, with Brad. You dumped the water down, and I was, it was funny because I knew it was going to work. But just to like look around, there's a group of probably, I don't know, 10 people, maybe 15 people. And like, just to look at everybody going like, yeah, right. Like, there's no way this is going to work.
Yeah. So,
and then, yeah, to
5 gallons of water just poured on it over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a winner.
It was cool.
Yeah. That was a pinnacle moment for me. I'm like, oh, we proved something today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a little joint presentation coming up on Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah.
You, me, and a couple of I'm gonna say your industry partners.
A couple of the industry partners. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of phrasing it.
I think it's gonna be a bit of a full house. It sounds like there's quite a bit of excitement.
Well, Cliff's in town, so let's just get that straight, lock your doors.
Yeah.
But that's how it was for that get together, and that was put on by our friend Joe Mello.
That was a Platinum Joe thing, wasn't it?
Joe put that all together. Shout out to you, Joe.
Shout out to Joe.
I'm going to have to give you a call. Well, yeah, we went out to lunch last time.
Yeah.
We were all here.
Yeah.
And Joe Mello is just one of those guys that I genuinely enjoy being around.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
And talk about a guy who just wants the best for everybody. He's like, dude, A, I want to pour you a glassy floor and I want to make it beautiful.
He cares.
Yeah, but B, he's like, I want us to all make money, but can you keep the floors nice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I've ever gotten a call from just the floor guy.
Yeah.
And just
that's right. Because you had said, the concrete finisher called me. And I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
Like, hold on a second. And then he said, I was like, who is it? And you're like, Joe. I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Joe cares.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they care.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
So
we have one coming up, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, I think it'll be good. Yeah.
I brought up our voodoo bracket for you to get a see.
Oh, sweet. That'll be neat.
Yeah. What's going to be neat is when we get take a big hammer to it like the next day or something, or whoever's out there can
just see what happens.
Go to town and tell me how much it sucks or how much it's awesome.
We'll just write you a blanketed PO for it, right?
A blanket PO. That's right. Those, that whole scenario is real fun.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
You know what, though? It's great to see that there's a lot of excitement around it.
For sure. I mean, I didn't say it earlier because we started this, but I mean, like, that's really cool. And it must be cool for you to, like, see that amount of buy-in to your guys' product and, like, the work that you're putting in, seeing that come back to you. You know what I mean? Like, that's got to be cool.
I just think it's cool that, there's some things that many companies can relate in individuals that, sometimes you come up with something that's a me too. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But then sometimes you see, like, a challenge or something else that could be just like when Ram did, like, why am I doing this for someone else I could do better? Yeah. Right. Well, why are we pitching someone else's materials or tools or whatever when we can maybe do that better? Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff out there in Tilt, For sure. There's a lot of quality extruded plastics out there. Yep. And the brackets and stuff. Yep. But when we think about solving an additional problem, that's what I think this does. And the versatility is what excites me. And when you tailor it towards your product as well, right? So when you can, like, your product works for other things, for sure. But when you can, like, tailor a product to work with your glue, that's when, the heavens rain down because you know that it's going to work. Right? Yeah. Like it's going to work the way you want it to work because you designed both things. Because so many with that have the double-sided tape on the bottom, which is like the OG. Mm-hmm. I think it's like 20 years old now. Yeah. And you guys had experiences up here along with that, and then the spray adhesives, whether it was ARDs, whether it was Dayton's or 3Ms, this region for spray adhesives just wasn't a thing. No. And so, again, that's where, Chad over at Glue Down had to, like, hey, we need to come up with a solution. Yeah. And it was specific for the Pacific Northwest. And then Utah started adopting it heavy, and Idaho and Montana. And then the guys down in Florida use the hell out of it. Oh, wow. The Carolinas use it. Yeah. And New England now. So that's cool. When Dayton came out with theirs and stuff, and it worked great for those warm, dry climates, plus panels back then were only like 8 inches and smaller. Yep. 7.5. Standard. Yep. And so, man, bring me back to those days, hey? Blow and go, real easy. Rock it and roll, send it. Yeah, I mean that's it's jobs like that where you just pick up smoke and just because 80,000 pound battles, you're just hanging out. Yeah. Those are the days. It didn't have to have the same workload.
Yeah.
You know, and then there was additional stuff that came out, kind of hit and miss. Like people started experimenting with some steel ones or aluminum ones. Aluminum ones are cool, except, you know, people walk off with them because they're worth just, you can almost get your money back, you know?
For sure.
But then Sure-Built, I'll give them a shout out. I think they came out with that green one that you could stack into. I think that was like the newest innovation in form brackets in a while.
That was a big game changer for sure.
Yeah, with the different angles and stuff on it. Which fun little tip here.
Oh no.
Anytime you're gluing any of these form brackets, whether it's the Sure-Built one or the other one that's gray out there, if you guys are gluing any of those, always glue the longer side down. You're not gaining anything by having the taller side up and the shorter side down.
Pressure's at the bottom.
And you're not going to bend that wood, so why does it need all that support at the top?
Yeah, pressure's on the bottom.
Keep that in mind when you start gluing the voodoo bracket, because
you want surface area to be greater where you're gluing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I myself,
that's giving you
it took me a minute to register that. I was like, why am I flipping this up like this?
Yeah. Oh,
that wood's not
going to right up the board. No, there's no pressure at the top. You don't need to hold it.
Pointless.
Yeah.
They're
you
like,
gotta keep it straight.
Straighten the wood.
You gotta keep it straight, maybe. But I mean, you're not.
You know, when I do one of these with my friends over at UFP, then we'll talk about straight lumber, and because Canada will. You guys don't. For all the wood producers, you guys, the mills do not give you guys a break, and they give you the scraps.
So I'll tell you a story, and this is I can't mention a lot of names or places or people.
Yeah.
But there was a contact, and I used to buy lumber from a contact who was a distributor.
Okay. And
they distributed lumber overseas.
Right.
Our lumber from Canada distributed overseas, and it was graded one grade better or one grade worse than what it actually was, because they wanted to ensure that if it got sent overseas and they received it, that it wouldn't be not paid for or sent back. And so I would order like utility grade 2x12, and it was spectacular. It was better than the stuff you'd order from the regular lumber store as number 2. We send majority of our really good lumber overseas. And so, you know, that's when, you know, we've chatted about the different LVLs and stuff
I
like
can't
that.
wait till I get to see that engineered lumber show its face in the Tilton market up here.
We're getting close. We're getting close. I'm
such a big fan of the engineered lumber.
Yeah.
Such a big fan. And it's weird because there's a small I'd say 50% of the Western U.S. is engineered lumber. For tilt up.
Okay.
That's a good chunk.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a solid number.
Oh yeah. And especially and most of the places too where it's warm and dry, they've made the switch too.
Yeah.
But then you get like the north central part of the country to like the Midwest, nothing down south, like in the greater Texas, Oklahoma area.
Yeah.
But then you get like little patches of it back east too. And I'm just hoping if I had to throw a number out there, I'm not in the lumber industry heavily, but I'd say like, you know, like 30%, 35% use engineered lumber.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's and that's growing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. I do my part.
You're seeing that raise. Yeah. You're seeing that go up more and more for sure.
Well, just in like the Utah area, for example, my like hometown area, like, I mean, out of the like 10 tilt-up contractors that are there, they all used to use dimensional like 6 years ago.
Okay.
And through the lumber providers out there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to toot the horn of my good friend Jared over at UFP, dude. People have gotten to see the light and the usage out of engineered lumber. Yeah. So, and they're coming out with new ones too. Like even if it's not LSL, like LVL, that's minimal cupping, variety stuff, which is cool.
Do you ever think that there's going to be like a reusable tilt-up form piece?
You know what? There's been so many people that's a great one.
Like I know some people have tried. I don't know if it's caught on in the States.
I don't think it's had one that they tried for a while, and I believe it was it was called PAG form, and it was like a coated. Okay. I want to say LSL, and I don't know what type of coating was on it.
Okay.
And it had its challenges, and they put the kibosh on it, but A for effort on it.
Yeah.
And then there's an aluminum tilt-up system.
Okay.
But again, it's like aluminum.
There was one for stacking I saw.
There's several for stacking. I think there's like an SBR or SBR.
And it had like the coil bolts.
Yeah.
And you could like coil bolt it into the one below, and then the form came up a little bit.
Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 like that, and I think they're out of Australia or Queensland.
Something like that, yeah.
And then there's another one. This is my cousin's company called Easy Tilt.
Okay.
But it's just straight up big old aluminum channels, and then if you go from like, let's say 7 1/4 and you need to go to like 8 inch or whatever, put on the next rail on it, or you'll just zip some like spacer in there.
Oh, cool. Do you see it like, and so what percentage of that do you see in the States? Like 2%?
Like
none. Yeah. Do you see it becoming more prevalent down there, or do you just see it being the engineered lumber and that's kind of the...
Well, I think it's one of those things, you know, there was a company years ago and they're not around anymore. However, if people dig really hard, they can find it. It was multi pieces that would lap over your wood. And and that they were like,
or it would fit in. Yeah, you could fit like a piece of plywood in between it. Yeah.
And there was challenges with that. I don't know what, because it's before my time. I mean, the website looks like it's from 95.
Yes.
And it's not monitored at this point. In fact, I don't think the gentleman that owns it is even around anymore.
Love the Easter eggs in this podcast too.
I know.
Yeah, we're really
for those of you want to know more, plenty of drinks at World of Concrete. You come to our Tilt Up event. We'll see you at Top Golf and the Ferris wheel for our young professional event. Yeah. But yeah, there's products out there. People have always been, in fact, one of my good friends, Andres, he's dreaming up something, and I hope he gets it going. And I've told him, like, anytime I could give you suggestions or guidance, because, and he's a field guy. So it's like anytime field guys can come up with stuff.
For sure. Well, they know the ins and outs of how it's going to be used and abused.
Yeah, because they want something for themselves too to use. Like, and then if I can make a few bucks on it, so I do this last when I get older, great. Yeah. Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well,
sweet.
Daughters? Yeah, I know you have
girl dad.
2, right?
I have 2. Yeah, and we got
the one here myself.
There you go. We got Taylor Swift tickets, and so I just have bracelets.
You got Tay-Tay tickets?
I have bracelets coming out the yin yang at home. Yeah. So
I tried to get some T-Swizzle tickets for my daughter and I this last year. Yeah. I hopped on, and for like an hour and a half straight, hitting the refresh button. Yeah. Couldn't get through.
I don't even want to tell you my story because I didn't even really try. Like, my daughter was like, "You need to register," and I'm like, "Sure, whatever." So I registered, and then they sent me an email, and they're like, "Hey, like, thanks for registering. Like, you might get a code." And I'm like, "Oh, whatever." And then I got a code, and then I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, maybe everybody got it." And then I came into the office and it was like,
won the lottery.
Like, no, like, nobody got this, and I was like, "Oh no, here we go." So yeah, it was a show. But yeah, there's bracelets like going out of style in my house.
I'm so jealous right now. Yeah. For all the other daddy daughters out there, or daughter daddies, man. Some of you
girl
know
dads.
Girl dads. You know, when it comes to getting Taylor Swift tickets or anything
holy grail.
Like that, it's
the holy grail
up there. One day I will be able to deliver.
One day,
like
I'll take a picture for you. I'll take a little video for you.
I need to see some on your Insta. Since we're connected on there.
Yeah, it'll be on there.
Well, if you guys want to check out more of Cam here, he's gonna be in Vegas. You're gonna be in Vegas, right?
I'm not.
You're not?
No. I was hoping that we could just breeze over that with the family ski holiday that
makes sense.
But Cliff's gonna be there.
I'm gonna be there.
But
if you want to check out more of what Cam does with Bram and Jeff and the rest of these good people here, we'll have a link to their website in this, and make sure you check them out, or even better, give them a holler on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And any other social. You guys are on Instagram too.
We're on the Instagram a bit. Yeah. We got a big LinkedIn thing. I do have quite a few videos on LinkedIn.
I'm always watching.
Yeah, some cool stuff. We got some cool things coming up this year. I want to do more on site. Kind of getting in the trenches.
I want to see really more showcasing everybody.
Yeah, so kind of like my friend Cliff does here with the selfie videos and stuff like that. But definitely shoot us an email, shoot us a DM on the old LinkedIn, the Instagram, and love to get together with industry people and just talk about construction.
That's what we're about.
I love it.
Like-minded individuals making it happen every day, or in my case, every other day.
There you go.
Check out them, and if you guys also want to do something like this, very spontaneously, feel free to reach out to me. Let's chat it up. And even if you don't want to be on video, let's have a sweet conversation over a sweet cup of joe.
Concrete and coffee.
We'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks, Cam.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.